spaces so my students are comfortable. When I first applied for the grant, I thought, okay, yeah, I'll have my students look at furniture and decide, yeah, we want a couch, we want bean bags, these chairs are uncomfortable, this is awesome. That's kind of how it started. It's innovative, it's outside the box. When you think back to 1915, this is a picture from a classroom in 1915, desk, straight rows, pretty bland and boring. Each student is isolated to their own little island, and there's not much interaction going on. They're working independently. 21st Century Skills promotes collaboration, preparing our students to work with people on different continents, not just different states in our nation. So, with that being said, when I was first hired, I'm a first-year teacher, I walked into my classroom, and this is what I saw. I don't know if you can all see it, but very similar to 1915. Straight lines, individual desks, kind of bland. So I thought, yeah, this grant, it's going to work. I did a couple changes on my own. I added paint, got tables, made more collaboration stations, as I call them, and we were off to a good start. I wanted to make sure that students knew the reason I did this grant was for them. Everything that I have designed was to help my students, to prepare them for the future. It wasn't just, oh, I've got a grant I have money to spend to make my classroom better. It was to better their environment. So I started with student voice, which is a really big thing at Letcher Middle School this year. We want to make sure that students know their voice is important and it's going to be implemented. So I started out with a survey, and each class, I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. I have 160 students, and each class had the opportunity to answer a survey. One of the questions was if you could give your teacher advice on redesigning their classroom, what would you tell them? Majority of students said it's uncomfortable. And think about when we are at these meetings and we sit in chairs that are hard and we have to sit there all day, you get uncomfortable. It's only human nature. So if they're being forced to sit in a classroom all day, why not make it comfortable for them? They're not going to be complaining about wanting to stand up, move around. You know, they're going to be comfortable, which is the main point and why I wanted to do this. My second question, when you think about your school, what are some changes we could do to help you be more successful? A lot of students said, you know, the lunch food, we don't like the food in the cafeteria, we don't like that break is only 10 minutes. But a lot of students said, we want to work in groups. We want to work with other grades. Don't just isolate us, 7th grade, 6th grade, and 8th grade. Let us all collaborate together. They're already seeing their future. Collaboration with people not necessarily of the same group as them. The third question was, if I could get any type of furniture, what would you suggest and why? Majority said a recliner. With that being said, I said, okay guys, my biggest class has 31 students. I don't know if $1,000 will buy 31 recliners or if we have the space for it. But they knew that I heard what they said, and that made them feel, okay, she really cares. She cares what I have to say. So I did a couple polls, and this one at the bottom was a picture that kind of inspired me. It has booths, I think, from an old restaurant, and they're parallel to each other. There's couches, bean bags, and I showed them this. And I said, if this class transformed to that, would you like it? Is this something you would want? And I thought, in my heart, everyone would say yes. It's beautiful. You know, why wouldn't you want to have class in there? But not all of them did, which made me wonder why. Why wouldn't you want to change to something more comfortable, more friendly, more warm, welcoming? And that made me think a little bit more about our students are scared of change. They're afraid if we switch up their whole environment, what if I fall asleep in this couch? What if I don't pay attention when I'm sitting in a futon? With that being said, I got to thinking about project-based learning, which is Letcher County's initiative for this school year. I handed them the reins. It was no longer my grant, my classroom, it was completely up to them. They identified their problems. With their problems, they came up with solutions, which then project-based learning. The funniest thing to me, well, I'll be distracted, I won't pay attention if I have a beanbag and I'm no longer sitting in this uncomfortable chair. I said, raise your hand if you've ever fallen asleep in a class. Every one of them raised their hand. I said, so see, it doesn't matter the furniture making you fall asleep, it's your environment. So what can I do as your teacher to make sure that's not a problem we face? More involved learning. With that being said, I decided no longer will my lesson plans consist of, this is your assignment, you do it. In order to prepare them for this classroom change, this world change, we have to give them room to fail. As a teacher, who would say, I want my students to fail? But I want them to know it's okay. Nothing is going to be perfect the first time. Engineering design, you make it better. With them identifying the possible problems and also coming up with possible solutions, they know what they're going to face. They know the challenges we might see. And they also know how we're going to handle them. The second part to project-based learning, interior design, this was my favorite part. And as I planned the challenge, thinking about budget, number of students, the space, things we have to have in a science classroom, I thought these girls are going to go crazy. Beanbags, they're going to research, I want this pink one with polka dots, and I just knew the girls were going to love it. Surprisingly, the boys were more interested in looking up different gaming seats. Look, Miss Carter, this one says it holds this much capacity. This way, we could have this, all of our students could sit in this without it breaking. That goes to show that anything I thought about this grant was going to happen, it hasn't. It's far surpassed, because my students know that I care what they have to say. They know that this is their classroom, they're making it. I'm not telling them how to do it, it's completely up to them. And that makes me so proud, and it makes me know that they feel valued in my classroom with picking what they, as students, I have my desk. I don't have to sit and work in the specific spots that they do. And I just can't talk about that enough. How excited they are, how proud I am that they see the possible issues we are going to face, but at the same time, they're working together to find solutions. And that just makes me so proud. But another reason that this grant is so innovative is because right now I don't have the furniture. That's the second part of their design challenge, and that each class has to present a design board, and then as a school we are going to vote. The winning one is the one that we'll spend the money on. But right now, they're working under tables, they're laying on the floor, and they know that it's completely up to them. As long as they're learning and they're on task, I don't care where they sit. As long as they are working together, being respectful of one another, and focusing on the big picture. That's my biggest goal. Now, that being said, I'm sorry, I'm drying out. When students are given control, they see that you trust them and they want to work harder for you. And with this being my grant, my goal, I don't have the final picture because it's questionable. Who knows what will be added and what will be, okay, that chair was a waste of money, it didn't work. However, innovation is something that is our responsibility as teachers to teach our students. And through this, they are hands-on involved, and I'm very excited for what the future holds. They tell me my time's up, but I just thank you all for listening to me today. Sorry that I'm drawn out and I'm having a hard time speaking, but thank you all so much for sitting in.